Hi, my name is Jeff Hughes. I'm the Chief Scientific Officer of PainChek Ltd and also one of the co-inventors of the PainChek pain assessment tool. And today I'm going to talk about AI technology to support pain assessment, the PainChek story. So why do we need to improve pain assessment amongst people who've got dementia? It's because pain is very common in this group. Up to 80% of people in aged care facilities have chronic pain who are living with dementia. And this pain often goes undetected and untreated because of the fact of the challenges associated with pain assessment in this group of people related to their cognition and their communication abilities. The other problem is that currently available pain assessment tools are generally considered suboptimal based on their psychometric properties. They lack consistency, as can be demonstrated here in comparison of the PainAD to the Abbey Pain Scale, where we have different items which are being used to indicate the presence of pain. They have a level of subjectivity, for example, facial expression with the Abbey Pain Scale. If I determine that the person is frowning, then I also need to determine whether it's a mild, moderate or severe frown. And as a consequence, this could vary between raters. They're paper-based. They often are not available at the point of care. And as a consequence, they're often underutilized. And this is in contrary to what is considered best practice now, that in people who've got cognitive impairment who cannot self-report their pain, then we should be using a standardized observational pain assessment tool on a regular basis. So our aim was to develop a new pain assessment system. Initially, we called it the Electronic Pain Assessment Tool, or EPAT, which is now known as PainChek. And we created a system where we could have a point of care assessment of pain utilizing the computing power of mobile devices and their inbuilt cameras. And from that, we're able to leverage off developments in the use of artificial intelligence around facial detection, recognition, and analysis, and also to utilize smart automation for the purposes of being able to detect non-facial features associated with the presence of pain, but also then automate the process of summing the pain score and assigning pain intensity. So human behavior, we have innate human behavior which is expressed through our facial muscles. And these are in the form of different facial movements which indicate the presence of particular emotions or responses. And we do this by tracking the face. So we have anywhere between 68 and 170 points on the face that we can track as part of computer vision. Within PainChek, what we're doing is we're using the facial action coding system, which was devised by Ekman and others, which is a catalogue of facial expressions. And Ekman says that these facial expressions are universal and that people across all races demonstrate similar facial expression, although they can be impacted upon by social norms, which is our conditioned learning. The the facial expressions describe changes in contractions or relaxations in facial muscles, and each facial muscle movement is described as an action unit. And action units last around 25 microseconds. And alone or in combination, these action units can describe particular facial expression. And Perkogen has suggested that the action units 4, which would be brow lowering, 6, 7, 9, 10, and 43 represent a universal expression of pain in the face. Now, the facial action coding system has been validated as a means by which to assess pain. However, at the bedside, it is impractical to use. It's very difficult to code We need to have people who've been trained in the coding, and it's not simply that the particular action is present, but also its intensity, anywhere from naught, its intensity. This is very time consuming. It can take anywhere between 1 to 1.5 hours to code a single minute of video. And as a consequence of that, it's not viable at the bedside. However, these issues can be overcome by computer vision and the high processing speed that we have in our mobile devices. From the literature, what we know is that in people with dementia, they lose those learned pain behaviours, which means that their face becomes more expressive of pain and therefore is a useful indicator of the presence of pain and a valid indicator of the presence of pain. What we also know is behavioural pain scales that use objective facial measures, such as facial action units, have better psychometric properties than those which use vague descriptors, such as the person is frowning, the person has a sad face, the person looks tense. And so this is valuable and supports the use of artificial intelligence. The other thing that supports the use of artificial intelligence is the high level of exposure of facial expressions of pain appear to bias observers against perceiving pain. And this may explain why some healthcare professionals show an exaggerated underestimation bias. This does not occur when you use artificial intelligence. It sees the face as a unique thing every time and applies the same rules. So we will always get detection of facial expression when those facial expressions are present. So PainChek is a unique 42-item observation pain assessment tool made up of commutative, protective, and subtle pain cues. It has 6 domains as demonstrated on the picture here. The face domain is based around Ekman's facial action coding system. It's automated, so we do a 3-second video and in real time analyze that video for the presence of 9 action units indicative of the presence of pain. Then there are 5 other domains: the voice, movement, behavior, activity, and body. And the items within those domains are based around the American Geriatric Society indicators of pain in people with cognitive impairment. And there is a binary scoring system. So if an item is present, a behavior is present, it's given a 1. If it's not present, it is a 0. And in doing that, again, we reduce subjectivity because now the user does not need to determine the intensity of a particular observed behavior. Now, what I'm going to do is use a series of slides to demonstrate how the PainChek app works. So here is the profile of the patient, and this is a list of their pain assessments in reverse chronological order. If I want to do a new pain assessment, I hit assess pain, and that brings us to the assessment page. And here it's defaulted to video, to do a 3-second video. But if there was a problem in terms of lighting, if there was a problem in terms of the person moving their head too much, or the person was aggressive or agitated by the presence of the mobile device, a manual assessment could be done. We also ask whether the assessment is going to be done at rest, where we expect the person to be in greatest comfort, or post-movement, where we'll have nociception, pain will normally increase, and that can have a negative impact on person's function. And it's important to understand when those assessments were done, because post-movement assessments are generally have higher levels of pain than what we see at rest. So in this instance, we press on post-movement, and what you see now is the next button has become active. And when I press on that, what happens in the app, it opens the camera. And as soon as the face is detected, then the screen becomes active and we can press the start analysis button, and then that detects in real time the presence of the AU codes, which are indicative of pain. In this instance, we have brow lowering, wrinkling of the nose, and we have some horizontal mouth switch. And then from there, what we go through is the series of digital checklists for the other 5 domains. You'll notice that in each of these we have the buttons, and the purpose of this is to provide a universal understanding of what each one of these items means. So again, person is being observed, and we just click on the items that are detected, then swipe left. This brings us to the movement domain. Exactly the same thing occurs in this circumstance. Items are collected. We move to the next domain, which is behaviors. Note that at the bottom, I can say that the person doesn't exhibit a particular behavior. And with this button is included because we don't want a particular domain which is just swiped past and left blank when in actual fact it was incomplete. So in this particular instance, again, we click on the buttons, it provides the information. We move to the next one, and in this instance, we've got, these are activities of daily living, and we might need to go back to the patient's notes to look at things in relation to altered routines or sleep cycle that may have changed. Again, we can click on this particular instance. It gives us the item that we've chosen. And then that brings us to the last of the domains, the body. And you'll notice here, we have questions around painful injury and also painful conditions. And this is again to remind the user that patients with dementia could have long-standing painful conditions or an intercurrent illness that may produce pain. And that should be considered when we're thinking about their pain assessment. In this instance, person has a painful injury. We get to this point, all of the domains are completed, as we can see, as we traverse across here. We hit display, and it provides us with a total pain score, which is based on the items within each of the 6 domains. There's an assigned pain severity based on calibration against the Abbey pain scale, and an explanation as to why that has been calibrated. We can save this, we can go back to it, and again, we've got the score, but more than that, we can click on any one of these and see what were the items that detected. So in this particular patient, we had a patient with moderate pain who's clearly distressed. They're crying, moaning and groaning, but they're also pacing and wandering. And so when we manage that pain, hopefully when we move it from moderate to mild or to none, we would see a reduction in these behaviors, which are impacting negatively on the patient and the people who are caring for them. The other thing that we can do is that we can chart out pain assessments over time to allow a review of what's been happening with the patient's pain and their pain management. But the app is, what we've got is more than an app. So we also have what is a web admin portal, which allows us to control who is using the device, which patients are using the device on. We can control those patients in relation whether they're active, whether they've been archived, etc. And it also gives us analytics around the performance of pain assessment within a particular institution or even down to an individual user. We have an open API, so we've integrated PainChek across a number of care management systems, which then provides real-time communication of pain assessments done at the bedside, which can go to the clinician who can then review those particular pain assessments and make intervention. And we provide training and support to ensure the appropriate use of the tool. This is just an indicator from the web admin portal of a particular institution where we can see the number of users, the residents that have been assessed, the total number of assessments that have been done, and a distribution of those results based on the pain severity. More recently, we've been looking at our larger database of information, and this provides us with very useful insights. So over 500,000 pain assessments, nearly 20,000 unique residents across 565 facilities. And what you can see is that on a unique resident basis, nearly 50% have had a pain assessment which has indicated the presence of pain. And this then provides us with a breakdown. 60% of those, or roughly 60%, have been mild pain, 25%, a quarter, have been moderate, and 16.7%, 4% have been severe. And from this data, we can also then drill down to see what happened post that event. And we can see whether there's been an improvement in pain, and we can see when pain assessments have been repeated. So we get a sense of best practice. The other thing which is available in terms of best practice is this issue around post-movement. We built this into our tool right from the very start. And what you'll note is that recently Booker and others have reported on the idea that we should be doing movement-based assessment because pain on movement impacts on function. And our data clearly shows the benefit of doing that. What you can see here is that post-movement versus rest, you're at almost 3.5 times more likely to have a recording of severe pain when the patient is moved. And you're less likely, if you move the patient, to have an assessment of pain where the person has none. So there is a value in doing that, in looking after our patients. So just thinking about the history of PainChek, we started the PhD project in 2012 when we got a grant from Alzheimer's Australia. We then engaged Enviso, a Swiss company which specializes in facial recognition and analysis, and they built our first prototype app in November of 2013. On receiving that app, we started our clinical studies to validate the app, and we compared it to the Abbey Pain Scale, which is widely used in Australia, and we did that by assessing pain in people with moderate to severe dementia, where we had 2 independent assessors blinded to each other's pain assessments. From that, we've had 4 publications, and just to summarize some of those publications, what these studies showed was that we had excellent validity in relation to PainChek versus Abbey Pain Scale based on correlation coefficient. And also we had good to excellent inter-rater reliability as indicated by a kappa score close to 0.9. We also looked at the clinometric properties of PainChek compared to the Abbey Pain Scale. And as can be seen on this particular slide, we had excellent sensitivity and specificity and an overall accuracy of 95%. And these data were used to support PainChek's application for regulatory clearance of our device as a Class 1 medical device here in Australia with the TGA, and also in Europe with CE Mark. And that regulatory clearance was issued in July of 2017. Now, in the same year, Dementia Support Australia, which provides services to people with challenging behaviours who are living with dementia, commenced a pilot of the use of PainChek in Western Australia and in South Australia. In May of the following year, rolled it out to all of its consultants Australia-wide. We got our first aged care facility client in November of 2017, and as of today, we have over 1,000 aged care facilities in Australia who have either fully implemented or are currently implementing the use of PainChek. Most of this being driven by a $5 million grant from the federal government, who saw the benefit in the use of PainChek to improve pain management amongst this vulnerable population. These facilities represent about 60% of all licensed beds in Australia. To date, over 600,000 pain assessments have been conducted by over 7,600 trained users. In August of 2019, we rolled out PainChek to a purpose-built dementia facility in Singapore. In the same year, in December, we had our first client, aged care facility in the UK. In November of last year, we got the regulatory clearance for the use of PainChek in Canada. And in March of this year, we commenced our first trial with a hospital in Australia, looking at the use of PainChek amongst elderly patients admitted to hospital who've got cognitive impairment. So in conclusion, PainChek is the world's first clinically validated and regulated point of care application which uses artificial intelligence to assist in the assessment of pain in patients with dementia. And feedback from our users is that it provides the opportunity to identify pain when pain was not suspected, which is a breakthrough. We've successfully implemented it in Australia into clinical practice, and we're now entering UK, New Zealand, and Asian markets. I'd like to thank you for your attention today. If you'd like further information, please go to the PainChek website, or you may contact me on the email address on the slide, and I would be happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you once again.
So, hello, Professor Hughes.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, good, thank you. And how are you?
Very good, thank you.
That's great. So thanks so much for being here with us today. I mean, joining us today. Right, so let's spend a couple of minutes ahead to answer some of the questions. So first of all, is there any question from the floor? If so, you may raise your hand. Our staff will pass the mic over. If not, then maybe let's go straight to the questions online. Okay, so Professor, the first question online, they're asking, how can PainChek support the care staff and caregiver for pain assessment? Was there an impact study conducted to understand the impact of using PainChek?
Thank you for the question. So what we're doing at the moment with our implementation study in Australia, so we have, as I said, nearly 1,000 aged care facilities who are using PainChek. The impact, that work is being independently assessed by KPMG here in Australia, and we expect to have the results of that in mid-2020. We've got anecdotal feedback that PainChek is making it easier for care staff, making the routine of documentation easier. So hopefully that will come out from that particular report.
Well, that's really great. So here comes to the second question. What kind of collaborations or partnership are you looking for in Hong Kong and Asian market?
Well, obviously we've already got some activity in Singapore, but we are interested in being able to work with other aged care providers across different countries in Asia. What we know is that the facial recognition of PainChek, those action units are universal, so we expect that the tool will be culturally valid, but obviously at the moment we're working in markets where English is the first language, and we're looking to have opportunities to convert the tool into different languages and validate it in that space.
So we are looking forward for that. So here comes our third question. How successful is PainChek being applied in Australia, and is there any hurdles you perceive when PainChek apply to Hong Kong? Okay, so I think most of our participants are looking forward to seeing your product in Hong Kong.
Look, I think the we're doing very well in Australia. As I said, we've got 60% of the aged care people are using it, and we're moving into other markets in disability and now into home care. For Hong Kong, the key issue would be in terms of whether we could use PainChek as an English language tool. And secondly to that, we would have to look to get regulatory clearance because it is a Class 1 medical device at the moment. So we need to regulate it as a medical device.
Okay, so, here we got another one. Hi, Professor Hughes. Would you please advise which group of elderly not recommended to use PainChek? Okay, so it's about some limitation, I guess.
Look, so PainChek is designed for use in the elderly patients who cannot verbalize their pain. So people who've got moderate to severe dementia, have lost that capability, people who may have had a stroke, This is the group that we're looking at. In people who can self-report in the elderly, they should use self-report. And obviously, because we're using automated facial recognition, people who may have had a stroke and have got facial palsy or have other neuromuscular disease, it may not be appropriate to use PainChek simply because the muscles within the face are not moving as much, or we can only analyze half of the face.
I see. So here we got another question about your collaboration with your collaborators. Here asks, any difficulties to collect data from your collaborators?
I'm not exactly certain what we have, but certainly in relation to PainChek, the data is coming off the device onto our cloud, so we have opportunities to aggregate data from pain assessments across a large number of people. So as I said, we've got over 600,000 pain assessments at this point in time, and we are collaborating with a couple of universities here in Australia to look at that data to see trends in the types of facial expression, and how does that relate to pain scores across different age groups, different genders. So we are working in that particular way. So I don't think there's any great difficulty as long as there's clear ethics around the use of our data.
That's really good to know. So Professor Hughes, here's another one asking, is there any different pain threshold for different people? And how can this be analyzed accurately?
It's an interesting question, because there are two things. We can have a pain score, so we know what a particular pain score a person may have, but pain tolerance is very important. All right, so people may say, if they can self-report, they may say, I've got a pain score of 5, which would make it moderate, yet they're able to function even with that pain score, because it's not to a higher level where they feel that it impacts on their function. I think in people with cognitive impairment, what we see is that with PainChek, as their pain gets worse, you see an increase in behaviours that are which become challenging and distressing to them, but also to the carer. So I think when you're looking at someone who's got cognitive impairment, then we think about behavioural change. We think about pain as a contributor to it. And what we expect is that if we can control their pain effectively, we can diminish those challenging behaviours. And I think we need to have insight is that when a person has got dementia and they might be restless, that may impact on the care, but also impacts on them. So it's not to think just because someone has got dementia and they've got a challenging behaviour that they haven't got insight that that's not the way they would like to be. So I think that's the key thing. The level of challenging behaviour is an indicator of whether that level of pain is impacting negatively on them.
Right. Thank you so much, Professor. We got so many questions about pain, I think because pain is related to every one of us. So thank you so much, Professor, for your time today. And here with us, I'm sure we will be in touch with you really shortly. Thanks again.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Hi, everyone, and thank you very much for having us at the GIES event this year. Well, hopefully next year we will be able to do it face-to-face, but now we're visual. So I'm David, I'm the co-founder and CEO of Binah, and I'm going to talk about how the new way to extract health data is starting to be a software-based solution. So besides me in our very fast-growing company, there's more and more people that joining us that actually make the things that we're trying to create possible, and how we are actually changing theory and idea and a vision into reality. So today, the Binah company was founded actually at the end of 2016. And today we just passed the 70 employees, and we have way over a dozen PhDs and researchers in the company that help us actually create what we've been able to create. Today, we serve over 100 customers in the world of healthcare, insurance, wellness, and actually a few very exciting new industries, such as the pharmaceutical industry, the beauty industry, and others. Besides the companies that you see in front of you in the screen, like Generali, the largest insurance company in Europe, Sompo, a top 5 insurance company in Japan, Momentum, the second largest insurance company in South Africa, and others, we have amazing customers that have been able to integrate our technology in order to gain the benefits of what we need. Since the company was founded, we've been getting a lot of different market recognitions that help us actually to get additional validation to our vision and the mission that's what we're trying to create. As time is passing, we've seen more and more industries that are actually basing their decision on health data. When we're talking about healthcare, goes without saying that everything is about the ability of knowing what is the real health situation of a specific patient or a drive-by users. Whether we're talking about telehealth, our remote patient monitoring solution, home hospitals, nursing homes, people with chronic conditions, and so on. In the public health situation, we see how things are changing due to epidemics and the pandemic that have joined our life the past 2 years. We've seen how more and more technologies have starting to actually get us to use them on a daily basis in order to be able to control what's happening in our countries and in our communities. The pharmaceutical industries that have an ongoing need to validate additional services, practices, and medicine, they always need to know what is the influence over the person's body. When it comes to insurance, everything is about the ability of managing their risk, whether we're talking about health insurance, life insurance, and now also car insurance and real estate insurance have joined the trend of knowing exactly what are the vital signs of a specific person in order to make a better decision. Goes without saying everything about wellness programs. And now we're also seeing how the major vendors, whether we're talking about hardware manufacturers or even the big player in tech and in global reach companies, have to vital signs. When we're talking about the ability of extracting vital signs today, everything is surrounding medical devices. Some of them are medically approved and some of them are not, but whether we're talking about oximeters and blood pressure cuffs and thermometers and respiratory rate monitors, all of those devices allows us actually to be able to extract vital signs in order to provide a real indication over our body state. But the thing is that those kind of devices have a never-ending friction. Whether we're talking about cost and maintenance, shipping, usability limitation. And usability limitation is a huge thing that we're going to discuss within a few minutes. But the problem is that about 50 to 60% of the time that people use a blood pressure cuff, they don't use it in the right way. So there's a huge issue with usability limitation. Goes without saying that we have no indication whether there is any kind of a malfunction with the device itself. So upgrade is a huge issue, which eventually you just need to buy a new device and hope that it doesn't have any issues or bugs that prevent you of getting the right information from your body. What we've been able to develop in Binah is a software-based solution only that can run almost on any device with a camera. And today we're able to extract vital signs over smartphones, tablets, laptops, and very soon also browser-based solution. Today our solution is a video-based, which can be a completely contactless or a contact-based using your finger if you wish, but the majority of our customers use our contactless solution just by using the camera. From Binah's point of view, what we've been able to develop is actually a health data platform that you can decide which exact vital signs. So what we have already in production: heart rate, respiration monitor, PRQ, which is the connection between your respiratory and your pulse rate, oxygen saturation, sympathetic stress, parasympathetic activity, heart rate variability are all in production. In November, within a month or so, blood pressure will be available as well for the public, and we will be able to provide those kind of capabilities as well. All of those kind of vital signs, our technology knows how to extract it. And we are delivering this solution as an SDK, which means that organization can integrate it into their own solution or as part of the Binah team platform that we provide as a ready-to-use solution that customers can actually use out of the box. When we're talking about the ability of extracting vital signs, sometimes an organization wishes just to extract the vital signs, and sometimes we wish actually to provide an indication to the end users about how they actually can use the information when they're extracting it using a smartphone, a tablet, or a laptop. From Binah's point of view, it's completely up to our customers how they wish to manage the application that the customer sees. Because on the one hand, you can extract all the vital signs that you can see on the left side of the screen, but on the other side, you can actually decide that the customers will not even be able to know that information is being extracted using the camera if they answer a questionnaire or if they're looking at a nice video while the information is being extracted. So blood pressure is something that we've been working for the past 3 years on, and I'm very happy to say that we're in the final stage of validation in a few different medical facilities. We are using Tel HaShomer Hospital in Israel, which is considered one of the top 10 hospitals in the world, and also Clinimark, which is the gold standard facility of validating medical devices. And we expect to release it early November and make blood pressure available for everyone to be able to extract it out of that. So a few words about how the technology actually works. So if any one of you have been ever using an Apple Watch or a Samsung Watch, you've been able to see those kind of blinking lights at the back of your smartwatch. Those kind of blinking lights actually use a technology that is almost 80 years old that is called PPG, photoplethysmography. And photoplethysmography basically means that whenever you're sending a light beam to the skin surface of your wrist or of your any part of your body, you're able to get a PPG indication out of your body. And the PPG actually includes a signal information that can be then transformed to multiple types of vital signs. What we've been able to do, instead of generating a light beam, we've been able to analyze the light environment that actually surrounds us and how it reflects back from our face surface back to the camera lens. So this kind of technology of being able to do a remote photoplethysmography by using multiple types of light analysis and determination about how we're able to calibrate the camera, how we can actually correct multiple types of luminance and lighting condition in the environment, and to choose the best part of the face in order to know where do we extract the signal from. Sometimes we extract it from the upper cheeks, sometimes we extract it from the forehead, and sometimes we're able to actually extract it from the full face if a person doesn't have a beard or a major beard on his face. So we're able to dynamically decide where we are extracting the information from. And once we do that and we have a pure PPG signal, then we can start the multiple types of transformation in order to decide which exact vital signs are we extracting and how. As part of the validation processes that we had from day one, we needed to make sure that we're actually able to support all different skin types. And today's in this world is actually called the Fitzpatrick skin type. And we had to make, as part of our validation process, to make sure that we support all different 6 Fitzpatrick type scales classifications, from type 1, which is pale white skin, and up to type 6, which is deeply pigmented dark brown and black skin. So as part of the validation, we made sure that our contactless solution does support all different types of skin classifications. As part of the ongoing accuracy validation and verification process that we're going, medical validation and a medical approval worldwide is also part of the process that we're investing a lot of money and time. The solution was already validated in Australia and in South Africa. Within the next 6 months, we will have our first FDA 510K Class 2 medical device for 2 specific vital signs. And within the next 12 months, we will have for another 3 vital signs. We're also in the process in Japan, in Europe, in Canada, India, Singapore, and I believe that within the next 12 to 24 months, the solution will be approved globally as the first contactless medical device. We're always trying to choose the best possible medical facilities to conduct our validation processes, and we continuously make sure that new upcoming vital signs, and in the next year we're going to have very exciting new vital signs, will also be designed to support the requirements of accuracy in order to be able to achieve medical approvals worldwide. So stress is a big question because it's how do you actually define what is stress? So we decided that we are not going to invent the wheel. What we've been able to do is actually to implement the official Bievsky Stress Index. The Bievsky Stress Index was actually discovered by the Russian space program in the late 50s and the early 60s, and it's actually based on heart rate variability. So once we're able to extract a very accurate heart rate, which means we're able to extract an extremely accurate heart rate variability, we're able to determine what is the person's stress. We provide a very clear indication from low to very high, or we're able to actually provide you the real stress index number that is generated by the solution. The stress is already integrated into one of the largest insurance companies in Japan that are measuring the mental stress level of their insurees, and also in a few other countries. From Binah's point of view and Binah Healthcare, I guess the key go-to-market from our point of view is delivering an SDK. And this piece of little software means that customers can integrate it into their own solution in order to get the vital signs according to the user experience they decide, and also through the user, user journey that they decide. When exactly they can actually extract vital signs and how exactly can they manage it in the best possible way. And the other platform that we provide to customers is actually a ready-to-use solution that we call Binah Team, that customers can actually extract vital signs out of the box with a ready-to-use application that is already in multiple stores. As part of this solution, we also provide you a full SaaS platform in the cloud that collects the data from the application that you wish to provide to all your users. So we're not limited to that, and you're able to do it at whatever is needed. We also provide advanced reporting and a few different analytical tools for you to be able to see the ongoing trends of your users, but you're able to use it on the same day that you launch the solution. I guess there's a lot of different uniqueness in Binah, but I think the two most important things is that on the one hand, we completely run on the edge device. So we as Binah are never exposed to our customers' data, and we're able to provide you the information whenever it's needed. From a go-to-market strategy, we're not limited to a specific type of a market. I guess we have a huge traction in insurance companies because they understand the value, but we already have a few telehealth companies. We have quite a few wellness companies. We have a few COVID-19 suspect remote triage solutions that already use our solution. And as time passes, we're adding more and more customers that can get the benefits of Binah. When we're talking about vital signs, I guess one of the most important things is to notice about the change in any of the specific indicatives that provide you an early signs of degradation. Whether we're talking about saturation, respiration rate, heart rate variability, and so on, you can get endless amount of insight when you wish to go and see the information. So this information will not come as a shocking to any of you, but we live in a getting old world. According to the World Health Organization, within the next 30 years, actually less, we're going to have over 2 billion people above the age of 60. And that means that we're going to have almost 1 billion people above the age of 70, and probably close to 500 million people above the age of 80. You know, let's be honest, we are not going to have another 100 million beds in hospitals. And that means that everything is going to be very focused in having the ability to make sure that aging in place is going to be supported by the technology and by the environment. I guess when we're talking about caregiving and the entire caregiving force, we are going to be able to utilize technology as time passes, but we will never replace the human touch. And we've seen how technology can truly make things better. And I truly hope and I wish inside of my heart that within the next 30 years, we're going to have such a smart and compassionate robots that will help us to support the aging population, but most likely it's probably not going to be like that. So when we're talking about elderly patients, it's going to be more and more challenging to be able to detect the vital signs in the most probably easiest way, in the most comfortable way, without the need to cause any kind of an issues or any kind of an overhead over the patients themselves, over the elderly population, and over the supporting staff that have to make sure that you're able to extract vital signs in order to truly change the medical services that the elderly population going from a care-based when something wrong was happening to a real preventive state of mind. So whenever you're able to extract vital signs just because you have a laptop or a tablet or even a smartphone that's being used by the elderly population, you're able to truly make sure that you have an early signs detection whenever something is starting to go wrong. Within the next few years, we're going to have over 25 different vital signs that we will be able to extract just by using the camera. So all the hassle and bustle whenever we're talking about placing devices over our body or even taking a blood work on a daily basis, none of those will be required using a contactless technology and a contactless solution. So aging in place has been a huge thing, I guess, that is being discussed during the last 5 years or so. And whenever we will be able to provide a safe environment, to be able to make sure that people will be able to age in place in a respectful way, in a secure way, and in a healthy way, no doubt that everyone will prefer to age in place, to make sure that you feel the most comfortable in the environment that you grew up in, or of course you got old in, to make sure that the environment is accessible to all required information. But once you're able to extract vital signs in a non-contactless environment, most likely, as long as the elderly population are able to control their bodies, there will not be a need to have a nurse on an ongoing basis supporting the people. And one more very important thing, that as we see the technology is moving forward and is getting more and more medical approval, you will be able to consider those kind of validation as basically as a supporting environment to nurses, because we're not going to have another 5 million nurses available within the next 20 years, as you can see how the medical is suffering. From a physiological and I guess a logistical challenge, no doubt that the ability of extracting vital signs for elderly population is making much more sense whenever you can extract it in a complete contactless approach. And that's the great thing about the technology that we developed, because you will be able to get everything just because your face was exposed to a camera. No need for any kind of a devices that you have to place on your body on the right way or in the wrong way, as you see. One last thing that I wish to mention is about remote triage of COVID-19. We have enough information that give us enough indication how respiratory rate changes, heart rate changes, oxygen saturation changes, have an amazing indication whether we should have a PCR test or any kind of a COVID test. And having the ability to extract those vital signs at home in the most convenient way, you can actually start the triage remotely at any time. Thank you very much again for having us. If you have any kind of questions, please feel free to reach out to Binah. It's Binah.ai. And I guess in a nutshell, we can say that healthcare without Binah is going to be like retail without e-commerce. Thank you very much again for having us. Have a wonderful day, and please, let's all stay healthy and safe.
Thank you, David. Thank you so much for your sharing of your AI technology. Hello, David. Can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, so clear. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you today?
Good, thank you. And we have our audience with us here today and also our audience online. So let's spend a couple of minutes ahead to answer some of their questions. So first of all, is there any question from the floor? If so, you may raise your hand. Oh yes, we have one over there. And then we may go back to the question online.
Of course.
Yes, please.
Thank you so much for your wonderful sharing. And your contactless solution, it sounds like amazing, like too good to be true. So But we hope that it could be the true solution for everyone. But I think that in this at least stage, it seems like it's rapidly developing. So would you mind to share like probably 2 or 3 like a key challenge you see for like an individual to adopt such a solution?
Sure. So when we're talking about all kind of age solution that it can be adopted by everyone, then I don't see a problem, because most of us use the smartphone at least 3 to 4 hours every day. And when this phone, we're already capable of holding it on the right way, most of us do not have any kind of a physical limitation that prevents us of being steady once the extraction is happening. So we see less. But in an elderly population, when we're talking about people that they did not grow up with a smartphone, and a smartphone many times is very limiting for them. So in these cases, there are challenges that we have to also very focus on motion compensation because of shaking in the hand when holding a smartphone. We see also a few different challenges when it comes to the light condition inside of the environment. Because many times when a person is in bed in the middle of the night, there is not enough light to extract information from the person's face. So for that, we found a workaround. Whenever the conditions are not ideal, like a person is moving too much or a person has not enough light, we're also able to provide you the option to place your finger on the back camera, and then we can extract it also in any condition. And we made this available just 6 months ago or a bit more. So we can extract everything from the face, which is ideal, or also from the finger when the conditions are not enough. One more challenge that we've been able to see is very, very cheap smartphones. Because when you're using an iPhone, let's say iPhone 10 and above, or a Samsung S10 and above, then there's no problem. Because we provide the option to our customers to maintain full privacy and compliance, all the processing is being done over the device itself. So we as Binah are never exposed to the health data from our customers. So that allows them, but if you have a very old phone, let's say a Samsung from 10 years old or 9 years old, there is not enough processing power that can actually run our algorithms on the device itself. But as time moving ahead, you can buy today a $100 phone by Xiaomi that have an amazing hardware like a Samsung from 2 years ago. So all the very cheap devices from the past year and a half are also excellent. So these are the key challenges that we're working, and we're finding a solution how to tackle those kind of challenges. I hope I was able to answer your question.
Thank you, David. So while you were answering, we got many more questions pushed in the chat room. So let's look at them.
The more the merrier.
Okay, so here. How accurate is the RPPG technology in measuring vital signs? Are there any research supporting the accuracy?
Oh, I think the first research is our FDA submission and the clinical work that we have been conducting in Clinimark and in about 5 different hospital facilities. And all the major organizations, for example, Generali. Generali is the largest insurance company in Europe, 89 million insurees. So when Generali started using our RPPG technology, they actually requested Professor Sergio Pilon, which is one of the most famous professors of cardiovascular in Italy and in Germany, to validate our accuracy in his own hospitals. So they spent 4 months on checking it on multiple genders, multiple ages, multiple skin tones, multiple health conditions, to validate that the RPPG claims can actually support the accuracy that is required by medical devices. In many of those kind of vital signs like heart rate, respiratory rate, heart rate variability, there is no issues whatsoever. Those are pure signal processing and not a deep learning model. When it comes to spectrum correlative vital signs such as SpO2, and very soon also we will be releasing other types of vital signs, it did require a very long work to make sure that we have the confidence on those kind of accuracy. We expect in the next 6 months to have already 4 different FDA approvals as the Class 2A, Class 2 medical devices, and this will remove any questions about the accuracy of the technology.
That's great to know. So, okay, here got one asking about
Only
your...
one?
No, I mean, I picked one.
I'm kidding.
Asking for your plan to add more vital signs on the platform. What is your plan?
Yes. So during the past year and a half, we've been doing a lot of research on hemoglobin level, on cholesterol level, on lipids, and I'm very excited to say that 2 of them, we already have a plan in sight. So we are starting a data validation and a data collection in 2 major hospitals within the next 3 months, which will help us to bring those kind of vital signs to reality. From researching the RPPG capabilities, and also please keep in mind that all of those smartphones that we have today actually have also an IR sensor, and near infrared sensor on the front-facing camera, which will help us to get just another wave of information that will help us to resolve. And from the research we've done, we expect that it's possible that within the next 3 years to get between 20 to 25 vital signs, and some of them are actually blood reads just by using a smartphone. So we have a very long plan ahead of us and a lot of work.
We are so looking forward. So the next one asks about the accuracy, which I think you have already answered, but the follow-up question is about, do you need to adjust the system to patients of different age or ethnicity?
So we do not need any type of calibration, but we did had, so when we're talking about skin tone, there is what's called the Fitzpatrick skin scale. And the Fitzpatrick skin scale starts from 1, which is pale white and albino basically, and goes down until type 6, which is deeply pigmented black skin. And we've been able to validate, and this is also part of the FDA requirement, to validate the accuracy over the multiple skin tones. And that's what we've been able to do to validate that the entire Fitzpatrick scale is fully supported. And other questions about the accuracy. So each and every vital signs have an ISO standard, and each and every ISO standard have the required accuracy. And we've been able to meet those kind of accuracy requirements.
I see. So actually, David, you know what? We got so many more questions here, so but we don't have enough time here right now. So I believe our colleagues will forward the questions to you separately for your answers. So thank you so much for your time, and we'll be in touch with you really soon.
Thank you very much, and continue to have an amazing event.
Thank you, and bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.